Good morning. How are you? I look like shit today. Okay, so hang on 1 second. There we go. Sorry, gonna keep it light and easy today because most of the content that I want to work on has a bit more research and stuff involved. So I'm just going to talk about, I've been alluding to this topic for some time, and it's just something that I think about because it shows how communities can implode. But this one's an older one. So there's a lot of sort of these old battles and old, these, relics of the past where you saw glimpses of an epic shit fight, right? So if you've been, I don't know if you've been following what's happening in like the knitting community or in various Reddit communities or even on Twitter. I've been around for a lot of massive rifts, right, that have broken a community forever. And so the reason why I want to talk about Coriander is because it stands in my mind as it was just funny, right? If you weren't around, if you were kind of late to the internet and didn't get on until, or social media and didn't get on sort of until recently, you might remember, you might not sort of understand this, but there was a time when, things were a bit more close-knit. They weren't so on a large scale. I'm not going to dive into Coriander first because I'm going to talk about a few things. If you've got a question, if you're watching, if anybody's watching, I don't know, but ask me a question and we'll keep it light and easy. I've got a couple of things I'm going to talk about today. Be asked about my boxes. I'm going to explain what those are. And and I'm going to talk about the chicken because chickens are a joke between me and my husband Paul, and so it's funny. So we're just having a bit of shooting the shit today, riffing, and usually this is a sign that I am completely unprepared and have no content and did no planning and have no thumbnails and have no blog post, and all the wheels fell off. Got so much for my daily show. Didn't take long for me to fucking become myself again. I don't know why I keep thinking I'm going to change. Let's put it that way. Whatever. Anyway, so feel free to ask me a question and I'll just riff, okay? It's good fun. All right. This is see, the daily show was intended to be my improv, but no one turns up, so it's not much I can do, right? I just got to go, yes, and just do this. So maybe, anyway. If people think I'm funny, I might do stand-up one day. Maybe. I don't know. Whatever. Anyway. Okay. Is my sound on? Yeah. Okay, good. I was just checking. Okay. So, start with Coriander. So, many years ago, in the olden days, in about 2009, 2010, Twitter was new-ish, okay? And what Twitter would do is, if you were on, you would understand, which was that you would find people in your local area. In my instance, that's Perth in Western Australia, a small town on the west coast. Sorry, not a small town, small city on the west coast. And so when people were first on Twitter, before Trump, before celebrities, before all of this stuff, you would find people sort of around your area, and it was very focused around local trending topics, and there was a big, it encouraged a lot of sort of meetups, getting to know people nearby, and you'd meet people, right? So that was the Perth Twitter crew. All walks of life, all professions, all classes, all races, you know, all sorts of people. Can't see how this is going to go wrong, can you? Right? All personality types. And in a city of people that like to tear each other down. Okay. Now, one thing you've got to understand about Perth, and this is just my opinion, again, this is my perspective of what happened. I'm sure that because, you know, like, whatever, there's always going to be others. But, so, you need to understand the history of this because, so basically what would happen is that everyone would meet on Twitter. You'd have these conversations back and forth. It was very much like a kind of more static version of a chat room. And it was very rudimentary. It was very, you know, at replies. It was, you know, and you were just, it was just banter, right? So everything that you'd said to other people, others could see, and it was basically like, it became like a chat room, right, for all of Perth. And if you've ever been on your local community Facebook groups, it's like that, except add in Twitter bitchiness and you got a sense of what's going on there. So anyway, so a bunch of strangers, it's kind of like a reality show, it's very funny. So think about the Big Brother house where they put in 12 different people that are like just designed to not get along, and that's pretty much what happened. So a virtual version of that. So all the Perth scene would like that. They'd have meetups, they'd have lunches. Everyone became friends with each other. Everyone sort of networked with each other. You know, I've still got friends today that I met through Twitter, and people who hate me still through that shit because they're fuckwits. And but anyway, no grudges. No grudges. Fucking hate this town. Fucking hate this town so much. Anyway, so I'm telling this so badly. So anyway, combine small city that's like a country town with country town gossip and a melting pot of people. Twitter at that point was 140 characters or less, and basically, and a bunch of sort of events and networking and clicks, and also the local paper starting to talk about Twitter. And I sort of became, at that point, I think this is all stupid shit, but I became this sort of de facto influencer, celebrity person, whatever, for a brief period of time, right? I didn't ask for it. It was just me being me, as I've always been, talking the shit that I always talk, tweeting exactly the way I always have, but that sort of garnered an audience. Now, under the surface, so they started organising, started having picnics and lunches and sort of, you know, everyone's my best friend. And I know a lot of them are still friends today. So I'm just not part of that clique, and that's cool. I don't fit in anywhere. But so what happened was, so it was me and another person who sort of led that way. We kind of had this sort of banter, and sort of our mutual followers sort of rallied around us. And because we started to get a bit of attention, you know what happens, right? The jealousy kicks in and the bitchiness kicks in and all that sort of stuff. So, not making this about me. This is just something that I wasn't, yeah. So I just needed to understand that there's all these sort of tensions and politics and everything that goes underneath that. So if you see wokeness now and those little splits in the SJW movement, it was kind of like a version of that, where everyone's sort of a little bit jealous of each other and bitchy and don't like this person, and they pick on that person, and it's gossipy and cliquey and country towny, and, you know, it's just all of that kind of stuff, right? And then you've got adults just being adults who can still be adults and just like talking to each other. But then you've also got a bunch of people who are meeting for the first time and befriending each other, and also, guess what? Fucking each other. Everyone starts fucking. Everyone starts falling in love with each other. Everyone starts dating and breaking up. Okay? And this is all And you're wondering how this fucking leads to coriander? And that the point is that it could be anything, all right? And that was the thing that was funny about it, which was that, so this was over a period of about a year or two. People start meeting on Twitter, but making friends on Twitter, being BFFs on Twitter, tearing down others that they don't like on Twitter, you know, all of that sort of stuff. But then eventually some relationships start to break up. Some friendships start to break up. There's tensions and resentment because of all of the media attention that Twitter is starting to get. So people are starting to be profiled in the paper or getting on television or, you know, doing commentary. You know, I was approached a lot for that sort of stuff, but I just didn't want to do that. But, you know, so some people pursued that. I didn't. It's just never been my thing. But there's that element of, so some people became spokespeople for Twitter. Some people just became part of the furniture. Like me, I've always just sat in the back row, right? I'm more like the fucking Tony Soprano sitting in the back. I've never been front and center, right? I'm not that sort of person. So, but the simmering was there. The dynamics were fucking funny, right? And I knew this was going to happen. I knew it was going to implode, but it was just a matter of when. So, and again, I'm just going to qualify this. If you were part of this and you remember this differently, I'm going on 10 years of memory. Life has moved on for me since then. I'm just trying to put pieces together. So by all means, if you see this and I'm wrong, it's meant in good spirits. It's just, you know, we're all 10 years older now. It's just funny, okay? It's, however, so every night, so Twitter was like a water cooler for a lot of people. So we'd be all, you know, like for me, it was my home office. I had kids at home. I was sort of there, and Twitter was open all day like it is now. It's my water cooler because I work in an office on my own and I get quite isolated, and you know, that's sort of, it's just where I kept company, right? And so I built an audience that way. And so that's basically just, hang on. Again, I'm still fucking not finding it, not really feeling it, but soldiering on. I need to get better at this. This is why it's my improv. Anyway, this is why I can't do stand-up, because I fucking waffle and I get heckled off the stage. So anyway, where was I? Yes, so water cooler. Every day, everyone's there. In the evening, you know, too much. We're fucking, you know, waiting in a queue. You're fucking talking to these people. You know, doctor's surgery waiting. You're talking to these people. You're talking to these people. Very similar to today, but it was a lot more intense because it was a lot more new and they were friends, right? And like everything, I've learned this, had to learn this. This is related to autism, which is that I've had to learn how to not be too intense with people and how to, you know, but what happened was every intense relationship or friendship eventually fucking implodes or has to have some sort of shock moment where it has to recalibrate back to healthy. Otherwise it just fucking spirals, right? So that happened. So we had there was this whole intense thing where tribes were forming, where cliques were forming. Some of those cliques are still friends today and they still probably bitch people out. Whatever, I've moved on. But but they're sitting there and it, you know, so lots and lots of friendships, lots of relationships, lots of marriages breaking up. So my marriage actually broke up in sort of the middle of this stuff, and the gossip mill, the gossip mill fucking started, and it wasn't true, but whatever. Okay, anyway, what was I going to say? Yep. So in light of that, okay, there's all these tensions simmering underneath. And this was, you know, 2010. So all new. People didn't know what was going on, right? This was, you know, the iPhone was fairly new. The iPhone, I think, the iPad was 2010, and it was around the time that the first iPad came out, and I got one from the US. That's how long ago this was, and how not very long ago it was at the same time. It's weird. Anyway, so tensions were brewing. There were people who were sort of getting jealous because others were getting attention and influence out of the Twitter platform. There were others like me who called a spade. And well, I had influence as well, but they were called a spade, called out the fucking, dickheads who were social media, who called themselves social media gurus. It's like, fuck off, you're not. You can barely like use a computer. You're on like whatever. Anyway, so that there's all of this fucking bitchiness and jealousy and yeah, it's got everything, right? My storytelling is really bad because my meds haven't kicked in, and I'm just trying to keep it going. So hopefully this comes through and translates. So I went to look back on the hashtag and they seem to all be wiped or under something else because I can't seem to find them. So the exact timing of this, I can't remember. But I remember it being, I think it was an evening, and a friend of then friend of mine, prominent tweeter, decided to make a tweet, which was funny, right? Saying that coriander is the devil's herb and that is terrible. Now, if you don't know what coriander is, if you're in the US, it's cilantro, right? Highly divisive herb. I don't like it generally, but I like it in Mexican and I can tolerate it a little bit now. I'm getting there, right? But fairly innocuous, right? It's always, see, the thing is, it's always the innocuous thing that makes for some reason, there does seem to be a correlation between the smallest of issues and the biggest of shit fights when it actually peaks. And that makes it funny. Like, remind me to tell you about the Handmaid's Tale subreddit sometime. Or, like all of these fucking, one of the favourite things I love is subreddit drama, right? Where someone posts something innocuous and it just fucking descends into chaos, right? So this is what happened. So coriander is terrible, basically, right? Fairly innocuous, an opinion. We could learn a lot from that today, actually, which is that someone's allowed to have an opinion about something without it affecting you. Funny that, huh? I need Botox. Anyway. I'm on video now. I need to start fucking with my face. It's terrible. Oh my God. Anyway, okay. I haven't got any makeup on today. I need the mascara that I fucking slept in. So anyway, I'm getting to the story. I don't like coriander. And I said, I agree. It's terrible. I hate coriander. Some people saw this as me and this person fucking being deliberate trolls, right? Then other people said they liked coriander. That's fine too. Then some people said, I don't like coriander. And I hate it, and here's why. And then others said, but coriander's great. And here's why. And then others said, well, you think you're better than me. And then others said, I am better than you. What of it? And then others said, fuck you, you elitist cunt. And then others said, well, fuck those people who don't like coriander. And then they blocked people. And then they started bitching about the people who like coriander and the people who don't like coriander. And then it was a teardown, and then relationships broke up, friendships broke up, people had massive arguments, okay? You never listen to me. You think you're better than me. Who the fuck are you? All of the baggage of the last year or two, I think it was about a year, all of the baggage, all of the resentment, everything that people had been storing just came out around that fucking issue, right? It was fucking epic. And that was how, like, and Perth Twitter it was never the same after coriander, right? There was a number of factors there. I mean, it was all just, but there was a particular group of, let's say, gossips who thrived on drama, I think they still do. I don't know. I don't fucking involve myself in that stuff. But who just love the tear down, right? And I know that they're very much probably part of all this cancel culture tear down shit now, because I know there are people that actually just thrive on that shit, okay? But this was a very early example of the mob, right? My divorce happened probably after that, actually, now that I think about it, because that mob had cemented themselves as a tribe by the time my divorce happened, right? And they sided with my ex-husband, and he fed them all sorts of fucking rumors and lies, and they came after me, and that was awful. It was fucking awful. Yeah, it wasn't his fault. He was just hurting and whatever, but these people I just have no time for. Anyway, but so it's just funny, and I know that my storytelling hasn't been that great, but it's just really funny to see some of these old things, right, that I thought, oh, you know, that's interesting, that's horrible. But now this is happening at scale, right? So it's often, and that's what I find really interesting about, well, I'd like to do more videos on this and obviously get better at this, because I'm not telling a very good story. I'm usually better off camera, better storyteller, but this is part of the process. Which is that there's usually shit simmering underneath. And the funniest thing about all of these little internet tribes, and I'd actually wouldn't mind doing a whole bunch of videos where I talk about these things, because it's obviously it's happening within the woke movement at the moment. It's especially happening within the trans movement, where the non-binaries are now acting like their own little clique pack, going after their own, eating their own. And so it's actually, and that's where I started to become, I mean, I always have been, but I became extra fascinated in the psychology of tribalism on the internet, and how these groups move and split and move and split and move and in and out, and how they undermine the health of communities and undermine that. And that's the problem that I think Twitter and Facebook is, Twitter definitely, and Reddit very much going through this at the moment, which is that they're prone to some of those old, you know, even though they're informal groups, they're not formalized as like your standard organization or not-for-profit or club. They are a club. And so they are prone and subject and vulnerable to the same things that organizations are, which is things like entryism, exploitation, those sorts of things. So I've always found that really interesting, and also splits. So, and so I've always found that's my area of like major nerdery is, I guess, the psychology of that, the communications, the misunderstandings, how these things split, how they reform, how they morph and move and grow. And because I've run forums and I've broken off and created my own, and I've done all of those things, it's just funny to see that happen on a single platform. Okay, so that's what's really interesting about Twitter and social media, is that before those platforms existed, it would be like an internet forum or a chat room, and you would physically leave that chat room or forum and you'd go and create your own. Whereas now they all exist on this one platform, and they still need to coexist. So it's like, it's actually very fascinating. Obviously I need to get my anthropology theory sort of better to really explain this in a proper way and understand this. And I'm sure there's stuff I can read. But I just find it very fascinating that these are they all exist in the mind, right? Yes, everything exists in the mind, really. Let's not get into fucking semantics about consciousness and fucking experience, right? I'm just saying that it's quite funny that these relationships all existed in the mind, but they're very much real. So most of my relationships that I've had, like online, they are very real. My friendships are real. When I hurt someone or upset someone, or they hurt, or vice versa, it feels real, okay? And I think that that's very interesting, right? And that's why I reach out. That's what my book's about. My book is about how, if I ever get it written, but it's very much about that, how this online virtual phenomenon that it called the internet has really, it's not just about, it's not pretend. Okay, our body feels these things as real. And that's why the coriander thing was very interesting, because it was such a trivial issue, right? But it was such a big spill, and the fallout was very real. Okay, it felt real. I still remember this. And again, it's a very good chance that my recollection of the events is wrong because I've had 3 lifetimes since then. So, you know, but it stands in my mind. I remember it on an emotional level. Okay, it's my emotional memory of this. Okay, an emotional recall. I relive it as though I was there in person. Okay, and especially, you know, a lot of the alienation and the social isolation and all of the bullying and all of that stuff that happened after that. I still experience that emotion as if I had been in a physical playground being bullied and being beaten up and being harassed and was scared for my life. Okay, and I think that that's something that I wish that people understood when we were talking about online bullying and when we were talking about online communities, is that they are real life. It's not as simple as saying just turn your computer off. Okay, we may not literally be cyborgs, but we are in a sense where our neurons and our body and our hormones and our stress hormones and our perceptions and our, you know, our visual memory and all of those things, our body experiences this stuff as real. So the impact is real. So it's not just, you know, that's basically like saying, oh, well, you know, you're under threat in person, you're out in the street and someone's coming at you with a knife, and then you saying, oh, well, just turn your back to them. It's not that simple. And that's something that I think people who've been on the internet a long time understand, because a lot of us, I mean, I've got people who are friends in their 30s and they were kids on Lisa's forum when you know, when I was moderating it, and they've grown into fully fledged adults, and they've been friends for 20 years. Okay, I've got friends that I made 23 years ago through a fan forum. Okay, I've got friends around the world who, you know, they're very, very real friends, and if I was to fly there, they would be the first people. You know, if people come and visit me, they have my spare room. They're family and friends, and they're people that I know better than I know the fucking cunts that I tried to make friends with. You heard what happened. They fucking bitched me out over coriander, right? Anyway, I think I wandered too long, but I just wanted to say that it's if there's one thing that I'd like people to start to understand, is that it's just, especially people who aren't digital natives. Okay, so the younger generation understand this. People who've been on the internet for a very long time, like myself, understand this, but others tend to be a little bit dismissive of certain things, like just turn it off, okay? Or it's not real, or they're not real friends, or they're not, you know, like these memes are not fucking important, but they are. Our bodies do not differentiate between material reality and what's going on in the mind, because our mind processes everything around us, okay? So our body experiences this as though it's real. And so the memories are just as intense, the feelings are just as intense, if not more intense, because it's at volume and scale. So a Twitter dog pile is the most horrific thing that anybody could go through, okay? Seriously, you can't just turn stuff off. And maybe I should one day talk about what happened when I went through that, which was they don't just, it's not just a matter of turning off Twitter, okay? Because they would flood my email. They flooded my Facebook. They flooded my blog comments. They prank called me over and over and over and over again. Okay, I could not check my work email without receiving this shit. That's the thing, is that it's not just a Twitter fight, it's that it moves away from there. okay? And that's where I think a lot of people misunderstand it. It's not, yeah. So, and that's what I had to shut it all, I had to shut everything down and create, I played with changing my name, okay? I changed my name online for 6 months until it all settled down. It was so toxic and bad, and I had an AVO out on one particular person. Okay, this got serious, and this was before the police took Twitter seriously. So I had to it was really, 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 really hard. Okay, so I've lived this stuff and I know. Okay, so anyway, I just wanted to, yeah, I know I wandered off, but I'm just saying that this is very much, it's funny because it was about coriander, and, you know, people like or don't like coriander, but it's never, to quote Everybody Loves Raymond, remember that episode where he's like, it's never about the can opener. It's that, right? It's never about the can opener. It's never about the coriander, okay? And we're seeing this happen a lot now where old wounds, old resentments, and all of this stuff, everyone's having to coexist. And also people are having to be exposed to opinions that they don't like, okay? Now, I don't think that it's necessarily that people have an opinion that they don't like. They just don't like you. And I think that that's really what we can take away from the coriander story, is that sometimes what might look like, I know for me, I've usually lost friendships when it's a straw that breaks the camel's back. It's never one thing, right? It's a death by 1,000 paper cuts thing. And I know that most of us are like that. So especially in this, as I go through this little fucking de-woking journey that I've been going through, what I'm finding is that there are people who just didn't really like me to begin with, and they tolerated me because I agreed with them. Now that I don't agree with them or give them anything they want, that's it. Okay, so sometimes it's not just about the fact that they can't handle someone disagreeing with them. It's just that you weren't supposed to be friends in the first place. So, yeah, I have this strong belief that friends come and go, and that social media artificially prolongs a lot of that stuff. And I think that friendships really should still just run their natural course. And so therefore there's nothing, I don't get upset if people unfriend or move on or get sick of me or whatever. Also because, linking back to what I talked about last Thursday about autism and stuff, I'm not like, I'm weird, and I'm not everyone's cup of tea, right? I'm a black jelly bean, right? You either love black jelly beans or you hate black jelly beans. You love coriander or you hate coriander, okay? There's people who tolerate coriander, but if it's served on a pile of shit, they're not going to fucking like coriander anymore. That's, you know, and that's where, I know no one's watching, but maybe there's a separate video in friendships and what I've learned through various life crises and having the kind of personality that I've got. I actually wanted to do something on loneliness and autism. So maybe it might be related to that a little bit, but I might maybe make that a separate thing because it's probably a separate topic. But anyway, so, but there's things that I've learned about this stuff, right, is that your friends will always be your friends. Okay, even as I go through all of this stuff, there's people who will say, I disagree with you, but I love you and I tolerate you. And also they respect that we just don't talk about that. Like there's one friend that I think I'm gonna get him. I'll win him over. But at some point, you know, I said, I really just don't want to get into this with you. And he respected that. Okay. And that's really good. That's how you operate a friendship, is that you agree to disagree. The people who you lose through opinions or through life has a way of just, you lose people, but you find better people. Okay. If you're still hanging on to people from high school, unless they are, and not, you know, like I don't, yeah, it's just, maybe this is, again, a separate topic, but healthy friendships, right? I've learned a lot about this stuff, right? I've had to learn this the hard way because it doesn't come easy to me. And the way that I deal with my own pain is that I intellectualize everything and I learn everything I can about it. I know everything there is to know about pancreatitis. I know everything there is to know about celiac disease. I know everything there is to know about brain tumors. And so because when something scares me and psychology, and when something scares me, I learn everything there is to know about it. And that makes me feel calm and in control because I know everything there is to know about it, right? So that's my coping mechanism. So when I went through a divorce and people took sides and I got harassed and all that sort of stuff, I then started to try to learn why. And I also, did therapy and all that sort of stuff. But so if there's any wisdom, and I'm so going through some of this stuff, I've gone through it before, and keep your circle small, okay? Most of our circles are too big anyway, and social media artificially inflates that, I think. I mean, when I get sick or need help, as I have needed recently, I do learn very quickly who actually gives a fuck. And it's not many. It's not many people, okay? Anyway, sorry, it didn't become that. I'm just waffling. So anyway, fuck that, coriander. People who like coriander, don't like coriander, they can still be friends. The end. And it's never about the coriander. It's always about the fucking stuff underneath it. All right? It's about the dynamics, okay? So people aren't always snowflakes, is what I'm saying. Sometimes it's just one thing too many. All right? And I know that better than anyone because I'm the person that pushes everyone to their limit. Now, B asked about my boxes. Here's my box. No, I'm kidding. See the boxes here? There? Okay. So the bottom one was when I bought my son a piano. And so part of his homeschooling is I have to fucking give him shit to do, so he's learning piano. The other ones are Nespresso boxes because we have an espresso machine and we got the Virtuo, which is fucking, oh, here we go. I'll show you. Look, these big pods, right? Now, Nespresso have a recycling program and I just can't bring myself to throw them out, but I'm also a fucking idiot and I'm a fucking lazy cunt. So those boxes are full. I've got one down here to show you. Those boxes are full with empty capsules. So they're there to be taken to recycling, and I'm going to have to go to the fucking local florist with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 boxes full of fucking pods. So because I hope they do recycle them because that's the only reason that I bought them, but whatever. Anyway, I bought the wrong Nespresso machine by mistake and I'm stuck with the new one where they've put DRM on their capsules because the patent ran out and they wanted to stop people making their own capsules. And the reason that I bought the new coffee machine was because the one that we had, because we have a business coffee machine, that I'd have to order the pods like online and sometimes we'd run out of coffee. The reason I bought the machine, the Nespresso machine, was so that we could go to the supermarket and get pods when we were waiting for new pods to come. And then I got the one where you have to fucking order the pods from Nespresso anyway. Luckily they do next day delivery, but whatever. So, anyway, calamity Taya, usual stuff. Now, chickens. Chicken. Actually, I want to talk about the chicken another time. Let's keep it mysterious. Chickens are awesome. I love chickens. Birds are the best animals in the whole wide world. I don't give a fuck about cats or dogs, but birds are the fucking greatest. Anyway, birds are, to quote Mr. Carlin, George Carlin, chickens are decent people. I love chickens and I love birds and I love cockatoos and I love parrots. I love budgies. And unfortunately, I have to tell you the story about Smith and Archie too. One day. It's about my grandma's budgies. Anyway, that's my grandma. The alive one. Not from the dead. They haven't quite gotten that fucking technology yet. It's the other grandma, not the... Anyway, I am Yes. Well, people, like I said, people tend to lose their. Sorry for those that are listening. If you are, my grandmother wrote a question saying, "I agree. We should always respect each other's opinions. You may not like it, but you accept it. No need to be nasty about it. I didn't see the subject of coriander, but who is that small-minded they get upset? I shake my head." And the answer is, well, it's not always about the coriander. It's just sometimes it can be, if you've got stuff simmering, it's always something that just breaks you. And I know that I speak that like that as an autistic as well, where things build up and build up and build up and build up. And then I leave Paul and the kids looking at me bewildered because I lost my shit over a fucking, something dumb. Okay. That's just, I'm a bottler. So, yeah. So, So my 84-year-old grandmother is chatting on here, and she's saying that she's not dead yet. Happy, ha ha. Okay. Even though the last time I visited her, she fucking gave us jewelry and started giving stuff away, making it very uncomfortable. I love you, Grandma, but no one wants to think about that. Anyway, it's cool that she can participate in a live stream. That's pretty awesome. I wish, I wish my dad and grandma were alive, because they would fucking be roasting the shit out of me on this thing right now. It would be cool. I wish my sister could get in here. In fact, I'm going to try and get my sister to come on a live stream one day. Maybe not on video, but just fucking on the chat, because she's the funniest person I know. She's like me. And don't laugh. Fucking don't laugh. She's like me if I had no filter. And yes, I have a filter. In my family, I'm considered the quiet one. Okay? In my family, I'm considered the reserved one. Okay? That will tell you all you need to know. The volume gradually gets just higher and higher. It's like this big competition. Okay? It's really funny in my family. And they're very funny. My sister is the funniest fucking person I know. But not even trying to be. I wish I could be as funny as her, but that's because she doesn't care what people think. I care too much what people think of me. My sister doesn't give a fuck, and I love that. I've always wanted to be like my sister. I love her so much. Anyway, but it would be funny to have we should do a thing where my family are on here. I'll get and they just fucking roast the shit out of me. It's my mum. Oh, actually, it's my mum's birthday today, and my mum is 61 years old, right? Holy shit, my mother is 61 years old, my grandmother is 84 years old, I'm 40 years old, and my 14-year-old son has decided to start drinking coffee. They're going to be dead soon. I'm done. I got no fucking prospects. I got no super. I got no savings. I got no money, and I'm just talking to a video camera to nobody. So my life as a gifted child has amounted to pretty much fuck all. Anyway, it's very weird having your little baby drink coffee. For some reason, it's weirder than when they, I don't know, it's just the switch to drinking coffee all of a sudden. It's the same thing with my 10-year-old when they know how to make their own cup of tea. For some reason, it just feels like a weird rite of passage, and they just start making their own food and drink and stuff. It's just very weird. Anyway, I suppose it's going to be very weird when I'm a grandma and all those sorts of things. I'm not ready. I'm not ready for this stuff. I'm still a kid myself. Anyway, I'm trying to think of things to talk about. Now, I do want to talk about Facebook's apparent bug, but I'll make that a separate thing. I might talk about that tomorrow. This has gone on now for 45 minutes, so I think I'm good to go. Thanks for talking, grandmother. My mum thinks I'm cool. And, but yeah, so if you want to support me, oh, yes, I now have Subscribestar as well. So if you don't like Patreon for the obvious reasons, you can now go to Subscribestar. There's a link on my blog that will take you there. I would really like it if people could give me some help and support, because it keeps me going. I know I talk shit, but whatever. Okay. But anyway, I have Subscribestar. don't expect anything, but I would very much appreciate it. Yeah. Did I say anything? Oh, yeah. Thank you for your precious life seconds, because they are precious. And I shat all over the waste of life seconds that I just gave you. But hey, whatever. I love you. And I will see you tomorrow. Oh, I don't know what I'm talking about, but it'll be something. This needs more structure. The wheels fell off this. I lasted a week. I did nothing. You want to sponsor me to write a book, finish my book, or do something productive with my life? Don't watch this video, because you get to see how my brain actually works. It's weird. Okay. Peace. Love you. Goodbye.